Express!
Hey everyone, welcome to Let's Talk. I'm John, and today we're going to be talking about the brand new 4K Blu-ray release for the Polar Express. But before we dive into all that, if you are a fan of 4K Blu-ray reviews, movie reviews, tech and game reviews, we try to do them all here on the channel, and nothing would help us out more than by you liking this video and subscribing to the channel. So the Polar Express came out in 2004, is directed by Robert Zemeckis. It stars Tom Hanks in multiple roles, and it follows the story of a young boy who no longer believes in Christmas and Santa Claus, and on Christmas Eve night, he falls asleep, and wouldn't you know it, outside his house, a train pulls up with the conductor being Tom Hanks, and he tells him, hey, get on board. This is the Polar Express. This is the train to the North Pole to go see Santa Claus. And he's a little hesitant at first, but he does get on the train, and he meets a lot of other kids along the way, and a couple other great characters as their journey to the North Pole continues. And for me, this is a fantastic Christmas movie. I watched this last night for the first time in a few years, actually. I've seen this quite a few times throughout my life, but this was one that I always really enjoyed, but for some reason I never run back to year after year like Christmas Vacation or A Christmas Story. And I'm not really too sure why, because when I watched this last night, it really did suck me in. I was just wrapped up in the story again. It really did give me back those old childhood Christmas feels. I guess that's the whole point of the movie, really. It really does feel magical. It's got that Christmas tone that you really want to capture when you're making a Christmas movie. You want that to really hit you with the feels, kind of remind you of childhood. And that's kind of what this movie is really, that's what this movie's message is. It doesn't matter if you get old. The spirit of Christmas can live on as long as you believe. You know, when we get older, we start to become more cynical. And, you know, Christmas starts to become more of a chore and a sludge than when you were a kid, when it was the most magical time of the year. You couldn't wait for Christmas Day to open your presents. Now it's like, well, I got to spend all my money. You know, I got to buy everyone gifts. I got to remember everything. And you try and get wrapped up in it. And then there's movies like this that just remind you that Christmas is special. It's that special time of the year where you reconnect with friends and family. And this movie just captures that in a bottle perfectly. I'm a huge fan of this movie. I know not everybody is, and I understand why. The animation for this movie was so ahead of its time in 2004. The animation for this is mocap with CGI over it, so you had everybody acting like Tom Hanks and all the other actors. They would just be acting wearing these, like, you've seen them before, those black suits with the dots all over it, and there's no sets or anything around, so they really just have to act against nothing, and they do such an incredible job at that. And really, as far as acting goes, that's just unbelievable. I haven't mentioned it on this channel yet, but Tom Hanks is my favorite actor of all time. I love Tom Hanks. He's acted in some of my favorite movies ever put to film, such as Philadelphia, which is in my top 10 all time. Castaway, The Burbs, Forrest Gump. You know, he's Woody in Toy Story. There's just so much good that Tom Hanks has brought to the world. And when you watch some of the featurettes on here and how he had to act, because he plays multiple characters, so he would be just switching sides where two characters that he's playing have to act against each other, because he does play the boy even though he doesn't voice him, but he plays the conductor, he plays Santa Claus, he plays 5 different roles in this, and it's just incredible that each role does have a significant voice to it and significant facial movements that the mocap had to capture and then put CGI over, and they did a phenomenal job with that. But I know that a big knock against this movie, and it's a criticism from me too, is the eyes. The eyes are like doll's eyes. They're dead. Those are like some dead eyes. They have a real hard time portraying emotion. And that's just for the technology of the time with 2004. Robert Zemeckis would try this again with a couple other movies. Equal success in my opinion. I know, again, not everyone's a fan of this animation style, and a lot of people have said that Robert Zemeckis has focused a lot more on technology-based films than he has on actually making good films. But this is Robert Zemeckis in a nutshell. Go back to the Future. Way ahead of its time, even though he's working with Spielberg's company as far as technology goes. Forrest Gump. Putting Forrest Gump into real-life historical events in 1994 is a huge reason why Forrest Gump won the Best Picture. That was so ahead of its time. CGI was still in its infancy, and they really nailed that perfectly. So Robert Zemeckis, I know he's not everyone's favorite cup of tea right now. I wasn't a fan of Welcome to Tomorrow myself, but in the last 15 years, the guy's given us Flight, starring Denzel Washington, which in the last 15 years is one of my personal favorite movies. And that, look at the plane crash at the beginning of that. Again, a feat in technology. He did an amazing job with that. So Robert Zemeckis, for me, I'm a big fan, and I am a big fan of the Polar Express. If you are a fan of Christmas films and you haven't seen this one in a while, and you're just like me, you're like, I remember it being really good, but I haven't checked it out, I promise you, you're going to get wrapped up in the story, and you're going to have a great time. If you have kids, this is definitely the kind of movie you sit down with your family and watch around Christmas time, and they are going to get wrapped up in it, I promise. So it's a recommendation for the film from me, so if you haven't checked it out, definitely do. And before we dive into the 4K Blu-ray review, I want to show you guys something that a fan got for me. A few months ago, we showed it off on Let's Talk Physical Media, but Dennis Cinema 4K, he actually got me this book that he got signed by Robert Zemeckis and William Broyles Jr. The two of them wrote the screenplay for this. The book actually is written by, not this book in particular, but the original Polar Express book is written by Chris Van Allsburg. This is about the making of the film and how Tom Hanks had such a love for the movie and how he wanted to take that and get it onto the screen. And Robert Zemeckis didn't think that they could do a live action version of it, so they ended up doing this mocap, ahead of its time, technology-based film instead, and this really explains how everything goes, the art of the Polar Express, because like I said, this is a thing of beauty for me, this film. I think it's amazing, and this gift from Dennis really is incredible. It's actually one of the best gifts I've got in my entire life. The fact that somebody would be willing to ever send me anything because they appreciate what I do on the channel is... It's one of the best gifts I ever had. I know you guys don't ever see it, but it's always on my desk since I got it. I really do. I love this so much. I really appreciate it, Dennis. And you know what? I'll always be reminded of the Polar Express. Thanks to this book and seeing Robert Zemeckis. I just love this gift. And Dennis, again, thank you so much. And you know what? Polar Express, it's a great film. Check it out. But the reason we've all gathered here today is not to tell each other Christmas stories, is to talk about this brand new 4K Blu-ray from Warner Brothers. So this is one of the 4 that we will be reviewing on the channel. We're reviewing this, Christmas Vacation, Elf, and A Christmas Story. And the Polar Express out of the 4, I was the most excited to see because I hadn't seen the Polar Express in a few years. I watched Christmas Vacation, Elf, A Christmas Story every single year. Christmas Story plays on the entire day of Christmas. So Polar Express, I was really excited. Like I said, I got wrapped up in the story, and that really was guided by this beautiful 4K Blu-ray release. So this is a new 4K scan. I don't think there has been a new scan of this since 2007. There was a 3D release in 2008, and there have been like little minor re-releases throughout, but they all, I believe, are the same exact scan. So on that scan, it used to have a Dolby 5.1. Now it's a DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 on here. There is no Dolby Vision. It's HDR10. The aspect ratio is 2.39. So you're going to have the black bars on the top and the bottom of your screen. And I don't think that's going to take you out of that. I know it can be distracting for some people. It's a little distracting at points for me, but it takes a couple minutes and your eyes adjust. And my God, this was a beautiful 4K. The animation I've always been impressed with in this film. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I've always been very impressed with the animation, and it has never popped more than it does here. This is in the snow. The lights in the North Pole are just gorgeous. The train itself going on the ice, it was amazing. There were very little dips in quality, I would say, throughout. There was one notable scene when it's a close-up on the 2 kids and the conductor at the very back of the train. It's like in that scene where they're slipping and sliding on the ice, and I was like, it seems a little blurry here. And then it quickly kind of shifted away from there, and then there's actually a lot of color in the sky right after that, and I thought, okay, alright, maybe it was just a little minor, just a slight hiccup, nothing more. So other than the stuff for the visuals, I thought they were phenomenal. I think animation obviously is going to always look better than live action because you can do a lot with the computer, and now obviously going back and adding the HDR to it, you can definitely play around and make the colors pop a lot more, and I think they nailed the visuals on this. It's definitely visually stunning, and I think that was to be expected. I was expecting to get blown away, and I sure was. It knocked my socks off. I definitely love the visuals on this, and the audio was really my biggest surprise out of this whole thing. Yes, it's got that DTS Master Audio HD 5.1 on here, and I was actually very surprised at how good it was. It really made good use of all your speakers, and made great use of your subwoofer. It was making my house shake. The first time the train pulled up, I had to grab my remote because my wife was sleeping, because it just came barreling through the room and started shaking everything. And I was like, oh my God, we're in for a journey here. And I was really into just how good the audio was. I was very pleasantly surprised because there is no Dolby Vision or no Dolby Atmos track on this, so I was like, okay, it seems like they kind of didn't want to do something with Dolby on this, so I get that. So I'm hoping that the audio is as good and the visuals are as good as I was hoping they would be. And like I said, the visuals lived up to my expectations, but the audio really did surprise me. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. and it really is great. I think you're going to be very excited with this. I thought that they had a great balance as far as the audio tracks. There were little points where you could say, okay, the dialogue was a little bit lower than other parts of the movie that are going on around it. Overall, though, great audio track. I am very impressed with the mix that they put on this, and I'm really glad that it's there. Now, as far as extras go, again, these are all extras that have been released. If you watch the featurettes on here, there's 5 of them. They only add up to about 13 minutes. There's also a good featurette about all the characters that Tom Hanks plays. But if you want to see the mocap work that they did, and you want to see Tom Hanks and all the acting he had to do, all the facial features, all the voices he had to change just on the fly, I would recommend checking them out. But again, these are not new. It's actually really cool to watch the featurettes and watching them edit the mocap on the computers they're using. It's truly unbelievable how technology has just gotten better in just the 18 years since this film came out. I'm guessing 19 years since they were editing it, and just incredible what they had to go through. I can only imagine how long it took to render some of those scenes in this film back in 2004 on those computers. Because I remember those computers, and I'm sure that the software on there, it was probably a sludge, and you know what? Bravo to the visual effects team, because they did a phenomenal job, and it still holds up to this day. So yeah, the extras, they're pretty bare bone. There's nothing new on there, but I enjoyed the extras, even if it wasn't for a long time. I had a good time with them, so it gets up. It's acceptable, I will say. It's nothing that's going to blow you away. It would have been nice to get a retrospective, but it's cool to see that having an interview with Tom Hanks and Robert Zemeckis, and you kind of get in a time machine and see what they looked like back in 2004. So it was really cool to still watch them. I still had fun watching them. Now, as far as packaging goes, you get a really nice slipcover on here with great art design on it. You pop it off. You get the same art design underneath. It's the same on the back. It's just a slut. See, that's what I was talking about when I was complaining about Nope. See how the silver bar up here, and they just take it off for the underneath part? In the Nope 4K, they kind of kept that. They kept the entire 4K Ultra HD logo. So that kind of bothered me, but hey, Warner Brothers didn't do that for this release, so I'm happy about that. So when you pop it open, you get your 2 discs. One's black, one's blue. The 4K one is black. The Blu-ray is blue. All of your extras are actually going to be on that Blu-ray disc. None of them are going to be on the 4K. So you're definitely going to have to switch over to the Blu-ray if you want to check out those extras. Like I said, I recommend you do. I think they're a lot of fun. So overall, can I recommend this 4K Blu-ray release? Absolutely. And just like I said in the Christmas Vacation 4K review, these are a little bit high priced right now. I think they're running for about $25, and I do believe since they're Warner Brothers release and that's a studio release, come Black Friday, they're going to want to sell a bunch of these before Christmas, even though they're getting them out on November 1st, just seeing if the big fans grab them. I have a hunch, and this isn't a guarantee, I have no proof of this at all, I have a hunch that these will be on sale on Black Friday. I can see like a buy 2, get 1 half off kind of deal going on. Maybe they knock them all down to $15. So if you can wait, because hey, it's not Christmas time yet, we're just watching them early for the channel. If you can wait, I'd say hey, see what they do on Black Friday. If they don't drop much, or whatever they are at that time, and you still want to watch them for the Christmas season, you don't want to wait for a sale, I definitely can recommend you grab this at the price that it is, because like I said, I am not disappointed with my purchase. I'm very happy with it. So far, out of the ones that I've watched, this has been the best one of the holiday releases this year. I'm actually going to give this a really solid 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was a nice upgrade from what I've seen in the past. It's never been as visually stunning as it was on this watch through. The audio, like I said, is phenomenal. Bare bones on the extras, but the ones that we do get on the disc, if they are previously released, they are really good. That slipcover is nice. There is a steelbook, I believe, coming out. I'm not 100% sure on that, but if there is, if the steelbook that I did see a picture of is true, then that's also really nice packaging as well. But the packaging overall is really solid. So overall, I really can recommend this, but just like I said, maybe check and wait and see what happens on Black Friday, because you might get a good deal on these. Anyway, guys, if you do want to grab this, we will put a link for it in our description from our Amazon affiliate link. If you want to grab it from there, it really does help the channel out. If not, no big deal. But the thing that would help us out most is if you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and then going out and telling all your friends.